Your best year starts in December, and we are here today for our final monthly money review of 2025. I always like to use this final month of the year to get my finances in order as we go into the new year and tie up all my loose ends. So pull up your personal finance dashboard and let's get into it. There's a lot of personal finance jargon on the internet, but here at Break Your Budget, we cut through the crap and focus on getting the basics right. As you can see, today I am in a little bit of a different spot because I am home for Thanksgiving, but just because I'm traveling and just because it's the holidays doesn't mean I'm skipping out on my financial routines. If you're new here, welcome. You joined at the perfect time to get situated for 2026. And if you are a returning follower or watcher of these monthly reviews, welcome back. I'm so excited to work through this routine with you again. I am going to run through the process for the newbies, which we are a very big and growing community here on this Break Your Budget YouTube channel. So if you are new, make sure you're subscribed and let me know if you like these videos. So every month I go through the same 3-step process. I'll update all of my numbers. So that includes my income, my expenses, my savings, my investments, any debt payments, and my net worth. Then I take some time to do a little bit of self-reflection. So I like to look at how I spent my money, how I'm stacking up versus what I planned. And the last step of the process is I will create my budget for the month ahead, in this case for December. Since we're at the end of the year and we only have one more month left, I have a pretty clear gauge of where I'm going to fall in terms of my spending and my saving and my various financial goals. So I'm going to sprinkle in a couple little extra things that I like to do for this last month throughout the video as it comes up, because I do think that going into the last month of the year, it's important to be super clear on where you're falling so that you can make sure you actually hit your spending and savings targets for the full year. Before we get into it, I want to very quickly let you know that I am going to be hosting a 2026 financial strategy intensive. I have 5 sessions scheduled all across December and January. So in this intensive, we are going to be closing out our finances for the full year of 2025 and planning and strategizing ahead for 2026. So if you are someone who is looking for maybe a little bit more guidance on how to make 2026 your best financial year yet, or you want a little bit of accountability to actually go through your financials and put together your plan for the new year, I would love to see you there. I'll make sure all of the info is linked below in the description, but as a quick TLDR, we'll be going through a very tactical step-by-step process for auditing your finances and planning ahead. There are 5 sessions that I'm offering. Each of them is about an hour long. There will be some time for Q&A as well if you're able to join live. All of the sessions are recorded, so if you can't make a live session, you can always watch one of the replays. And once you enroll in the class, you can attend all 5 if you wanted to, or just one. It's totally up to you. There's also a bunch of workshops included in there. I've gotten a few questions about if it would be valuable if you haven't been tracking your expenses all year. And of course, there's always something to learn, but I did prepare ahead for anyone who maybe is new to the community or hasn't been using the personal finance dashboard. There are worksheets in there to help you prepare for the class so you can get the most out of it no matter what. Anyways, so for today's review, I will obviously be using the personal finance dashboard. So that is the template that you will be seeing. I actually recently released the 7.0, which you're not going to be seeing today because I'll be starting to use that next year once we get into 2026. But if you're interested in getting the upgraded version of the personal finance dashboard, of course, it is linked in the show notes. I'll also make sure the most recent tour video is linked up here on the screen as well so that you can see everything that's inside. It's very similar to the one you'll see today. There's just a couple of enhancements to, some different reporting, the monthly reports, and usability and all of that. If you watch this video and you feel like, whoa, the personal finance dashboard looks like it might be a little bit too much for me, I recommend you check out the basic budgeting template. That's a more simplified version of the PFD, really focused specifically on budgeting. And with that, let's get into the process. So the first step of the process is updating all of your numbers. And this is where you are updating your income, your expenses, any savings and investment transfers, any debt payments if you have debt, as well as your net worth. I generally allocate about 15 to 20 minutes for this entire process. This is the one part of the process that takes the longest. I'm going to fly through it just for the sake of not making this video, an hour plus long, but I will walk you through specifically what I like to do and the nuancy things that I do at the end of the year. So the first first thing that I do is I will update all of my expenses since the last time I tracked. I actually track my expenses weekly. I have a video where I go through my weekly money routine. I also post reminders on my Instagram. So if you need the reminders, make sure you're following me on Instagram and tuning into my Instagram stories because that's where I post those. But because I track my expenses every week, it only takes me about 5 minutes to finish off and close off my expense tracking for the month. Essentially, what I do is I just pull up my income and expense log on my personal finance dashboard, and then I pull up my credit card statement and I will go through and track the individual expenses by type and categorize them as essential or non-essential. If you're not tracking your expenses every week, this is going to take you a little bit longer, but like I said, this usually takes me about 5 minutes because I do it weekly. I have 3 separate credit cards that I use. I use an Amex Platinum card, I use a Built Rewards card, and I use an Amex Blue Cash Everyday card. And once I am done tracking the expenses on each individual card, I will pay it off so that I can go into the new month with a nice clean slate on my credit card. So the expense tracking is pretty standard. The next step is I will make any final savings and investment transfers, and then I'll make sure that those transfers are logged in my personal finance dashboard. So we'll start with my investments, and every month I make contributions to my solo 401k. I actually, because I'm self-employed and I'm the only employee of my business, I'm allowed to make contributions as an employee because me, Michaela, I am an employee of Break Your Budget LLC, but I also am the owner of Break Your Budget LLC, so I can make contributions as the employer as well. So what I do on a monthly basis is I will make on average 2 contributions to my solo 401k as an employee. I do $845 per paycheck. But my goal every year is to max out this retirement account. And in 2025, I can put $23,500 into the account as an employee. So at the end of November, I like to see in total how much I have contributed after I make my 2 November contributions. And then for December, I will make any adjustments to my payroll and my contribution schedule to make sure that I actually hit that 23,500 for the end of the year. So if you are someone who also wants to max out your retirement for 2025, make sure you look at your contributions in total up until the end of November and make those adjustments to your December payroll and paycheck early in the month so that they have enough time to process so that you can actually make those catch-up contributions if you need to. So that's something that I also do during this step of the process, but that's a nuancy thing that I'll double check as we get to the end of the year. Otherwise, on the monthly basis, as you've seen in prior videos, I just make those contributions. Also, the last thing here is I will track any savings transfers. So for the end of this year, I actually have pretty much completely depleted my savings for my various sinking funds. I have my emergency fund that I don't really touch, obviously, unless I were to need to. And then I have a fund for holiday gifts, which I have almost completely used up. And then I had a little bit of money in a travel fund. But because I'm going through the process right now of like making transfers and making distributions, and I know what my travel plans are for next year, I decided to make one big transfer into my travel fund that I'm planning to use next year for all of my various weddings and events and flights and whatever that I need to plan for. So that essentially eliminates a financial goal for next year because I had the funds available to transfer into that account and I made that transfer this month. So we are going to end 2025 with a fully funded travel fund for 2026, which is really exciting. I'm very proud of myself for being able to do that. So those are my savings and investment transfers. I currently don't have any debt, so I don't have any debt payments that I need to make. And then the last step of the process here is updating my net worth. And I always do this last after I make all of my different transfers and whatnot, so that the values in my various accounts are reflective of those transfers that I made for the month. So I like to log into every single account. I double check and make sure everything looks good, especially compared to last month. You know, the stock market, I think all throughout November, I really don't pay too close attention to it. I'm pretty sure it was down. So when I tracked my net worth this month, I was pretty much the same. I think it was down and it rebounded a little bit. So whatever, it is what it is. I'm a long-term investor. I'm not super worried about it. But the reason why I do this monthly is because I like to go in and just double check in my various accounts that like, okay, there was no weird withdrawals and everything looks as it's supposed to. So that's the last step of updating all of my numbers. The other quick thing that I like to do aside from paying off my credit cards during this process is I will also pay my rent. So I pay my rent on my Bilt card. So I'll go through and authorize that payment so that everything gets deducted and moved and transferred on the first of the month so I don't forget about it and I don't have to worry about it. And that is step one. It's going through and updating all of those numbers. And now, because we have that all set, we will go into step two, which I think is more interesting, and that is the self-reflection for the month. Okay, so here we are inside my monthly snapshot for November. We'll start here just with a quick overview of how things went this month, and then we'll go into my annual spending plan and we'll look through everything line by line. So this month in total, between my essentials and non-essentials, I spent about $4,500, which is actually right on target. Where I really want to call out though is my savings transfer. As I mentioned, I was able to fully fund my travel fund for next year, which I'm excited about. The only travel plans I really have next year are to attend a couple of weddings. I don't have any big trips planned. So if that changes, I will update my travel fund goal. But for now, $5,000 is like a very comfortable amount for me to book all my flights and hotels and everything for those weddings. Over here, we have a quick breakout of like where all of my money went. So as you can see here, the biggest transfer I made was towards my savings account. And then over here, this was an unplanned savings transfer, as you can see, which is why this savings bar is like all what it is. But otherwise, I was pretty much on target, specifically with my essentials. I was under target on my non-essentials, which is a good thing. And for my investments and stuff, I was pretty much right on the money. So now let's head into my annual spending plan here, and we will go through what all of my expenses look like line by line. So as you can see here for my total expenses, I had planned about 49, just under $5,000 for the month. And I came in actuality at $4,614, which is $366 under budget. Woo! If you have been watching these, you know that the under budget months have been few and far between. That I have had more of them this year than I had in 2024, but we've had a few high spend months recently. So I'm very, very happy about this because that was actually a goal of mine. If you go back and watch my October review, a goal of mine in November was to bring my spend down to put me on target in total. So when we're thinking about the nuancy things for the end of the year, what I like to do is plan out my total spend for the year. I actually care about my total annual spend a lot more compared to my monthly spend because it does fluctuate so much. So as you can see here, my total plan for the end of the year is about $60,000. And right now I'm tracking at about $56,000 based off of previous spending patterns, unless I have like a very, very bare bones month in December, which isn't impossible, but is unlikely just given it's like the holiday season. I am going to be coming in probably about $1,000 to $2,000 above my plan, but I'm actually very okay with that because as long as I can be in the low 60 range for my total annual spend, that's like a very comfortable spending target for me where I can enjoy my life, but I'm still holding my expenses pretty constant year over year. So when I am planning out December, I will be keeping this in mind. But anyways, we'll go into essential expenses for the month, which are always, harder to control or easier to control compared to non-essential. So my rent is what it is. My rent is actually going to be likely going up. I have not received my lease renewal. I'm pretty stressed about it. I hope it doesn't go up too much. But I only have a few more months on my lease. So fingers crossed that I don't get screwed when I get my renewal. My utilities, they are what they are, $100. That is for, like AC, electric, gas, whatever in my apartment complex. I don't have a utility package, which I'm actually not mad about because I feel like the utility packages, when you're in like a big apartment complex, like what I am, tend to overcharge you. So I actually like that we just pay the utility based off of usage. Groceries, I was at $337. I was on target, except when I came home last week, I actually did a grocery shop and just picked up some random stuff, and that is what ultimately put me over. Drugstore, we're good. I didn't have to get too much this month. Subscriptions, we're good. This is actually my Spotify subscription, and this is the first month that I'm getting charged for my Aura Ring subscription. I love my Aura Ring. I'm so excited about this. This is like the best thing that's ever happened to me. Aura reached out to me to do a brand deal over on Instagram in December. So if you're not following me on Instagram, you should be, because that's going to be coming soon. But I'm obsessed with my Aura Ring, and I have no problem paying $5 a month or $5.99 a month in order to get insights about my sleep and my cycle and my stress. That's a big goal of mine for 2026, is to like really optimize my sleep and whatnot. That's a podcast topic. If you don't listen to my podcast, you should. But that subscription number is what it is because of my Aura Ring. Okay. Household essentials. This was a big one. What did I buy though? I'm way, way over on household essentials. Oh, I know why. It's because I had to buy a new trash can this month. Somebody tell me why trash cans are so expensive. But yeah, I had to buy a new trash can and I had to like restock. This month I actually ordered my paper towels and toilet paper and soap. I did a big deep clean of my apartment. I ordered all of that stuff on Amazon. And normally I just buy it at the grocery store, but I found it was getting really expensive. So I ordered it on Amazon. I'm stocked up for a little while. But yeah, the big driver here is I needed a new trash can because my other trash can was just like really smelly and gross and I couldn't take it anymore. Transportation, I didn't get on the CTA at all this month, and I'm gonna hopefully keep it that way because there's been a lot of weird stuff happening on there. And miscellaneous other, this is just a catch-all as usual, and I have nothing in there, and I'd like to keep it that way. So yeah, I'm actually pretty happy. I'm a little bit over on my essentials, but I'm under on my non-essentials, so that's how we even things out. And when I look at my essentials in total, it looks like I'm actually going to be coming under on my essentials, and I will end up being over on my non-essentials in total for the full year. Now, moving down to the November non-essential expenses. So restaurants, going out, I had a low month this month for going out to eat. Not mad about it at all. I would say like on average, I really only go out to eat maybe once or twice a month. I feel like a lot of the social stuff that I do with my friends isn't necessarily going out to fancy dinners. It's more like doing coffee walks or going to workout classes, or I did a Friendsgiving this month. So, it's more at home stuff. But I do think December, we'll see. I guess we'll see where I land for December. Shopping. So this changed this month. I believe back in October when I was doing my November review, I said that I wasn't going to do any clothes shopping in the month of November. Well, I lied. I set myself up for failure, honestly. So this month I did make a few clothing purchases, all of which I'm pretty proud of. So first is I went to a vintage market with my friend Amy, and I ended up buying this really beautiful shearling suede coat. And now since I live in Chicago, I'm kind of like building up my coat collection, and it was a vintage real suede coat and it was $145, which I thought was a pretty good deal for what it was. So I'm really excited about that. I unfortunately don't have a picture because I didn't take a picture of myself in it and I don't have it with me and I'm home. So I will post a picture of it at some point, but I'm obsessed with it. And the other few things that I got shopping wise, one was, let's see. Oh, I ordered a few shirts from Amazon, like white crop shirts for working out, which I'm not mad about. I really actually needed those. I also got a few pajama sets from Amazon. I will make sure those are linked. I'll put a picture of what they look like on here. So I cleaned out my closet. I, regularly declutter. I did a podcast about that if you're interested as well. It's on my page. And I got rid of my pajamas basically have always just been like ratty old t-shirts and old gym shorts. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I just was starting to feel like I wanted to look a little cuter going to bed. So I ordered a few pajama sets off of Amazon. They're just Hanes sets and I really, really like them. They're very comfortable. They're really cute and they weren't super expensive. I got a couple of them and I'll just, obviously wash them and whatnot. But now I feel like a lot better going to bed. There's something about it. When we're going into 2026, it's all about the little things. And I really want to become a pajama set girl. I don't want to overdo it. So this is a good way for me to dabble and dip my toes in the water. The next thing is a thing from Lulu. So I actually get a $75 Lulu credit per quarter on my Amex Platinum card. And I had popped into the Lulu store in Gold Coast and I found a really cute pullover. I think it was like $90 or something with tax. And so the $17 is the difference between what I paid versus what I got reimbursed for on the credit. This other shopping clothes is this Aritzia fleece that I'm wearing. I'm really in my fleece era. I wear these fleeces all the time. Again, living in a cold climate, I'm like, I just got to have the right layering clothes and I don't mind spending a little bit of money on them. And then for beauty here, I did go to Sephora because I needed to get a couple of travel size of some of my new skincare I've been using. I actually recently got some of the Rhode stuff and I really, really like it. So I wanted to get some travel size of it. And then I ended up buying a blush and a highlighter and just, I can't go in there. I can't go in there. But I will say, if there's one thing that I'm like pretty okay spending money on, it's beauty and clothes. Like my skin looks really nice right now. So ultimately, even though this wasn't necessarily planned, it's still within my budget, which I think is really important to highlight. Like I'm not over budget this month, and it's all stuff that like I'm going to use. So anyways, moving down to self-maintenance, I spent $38 on a pedicure. I get a pedicure every month. Ubers, this was my Uber to the airport and a couple other like miscellaneous Ubers to Friendsgiving and to different market and whatnot. So that's fine. Coffee, my coffee budget is high this month, or my coffee spend is high this month because when I'm home, my dad and I always go out for coffee together and we alternate who pays. So like I've paid for coffee a couple times and that obviously inflates my coffee spend, which not mad about. It's one of my favorite things to do. Down here for workout, that is my Sammy Clark Form. I love Form. If you are looking for a good at-home workout like program or regimen, I recommend checking out Form. I would imagine it's on sale for new customers at the end of the year. Travel, didn't spend any money on that this month. And then gifts, my friends and I are actually doing a favorite things party. And so the limit was $30 per item. And I actually am going to be bringing Dead Cool detergent because I'm obsessed with that stuff. It's like, yeah, it's expensive for laundry detergent, but it smells amazing and I love it. So like, again, we're thinking about life's little luxuries. I usually mix it with like a Tide Pod so I get the lovely scent, but I'm not, draining all of that on all of my laundry all the time. But I ended up getting I got 3 containers of it because they were on sale. So I got 2 for my favorite things party and then I got 1 for myself. And I'm putting it in gifts because it was all one purchase and most of it was for gifts. And this last section here, miscellaneous, I'm actually not sure what I put in there. So let's see. This is why I don't really advocate for a miscellaneous budget. Oh, but sometimes it just makes sense. I went to New Buffalo earlier this month and we went into this really cute store by the lake and I got a couple of coffee table books. And I don't have a shopping home decor category because I really don't buy a lot of home decor. So that actually is a good example of an expense going into the miscellaneous category. So overall, I'm actually very proud of my spending this month. I feel like my spending was very much so aligned with my values. It wasn't frivolous. I don't feel like I overdid shopping at all, even though I wasn't planning to do much shopping. I am planning to do a no buy in total in January. So that will be a good reset. I have some fun stuff planned for January, so you'll hear about it all throughout December. But now let's map out my plan for December. I don't think there are going to be any essential changes that I'm going to make because I actually, in December, I'm only going to be in Chicago for about 2 weeks, 2 weeks and some change, because I come right back home at the end of the month for Christmas. So I don't think I'll spend $300 on groceries, but I will likely buy groceries for like the holidays and stuff when I come back home. So I'm going to keep that where it is. I also don't think I'm going to spend $100 on drugstore. I'm going to bring that down because I really don't need any stuff from the drugstore. Down here for restaurants going out, based off of the trend, if we were to look at my monthly average, I spent $150 on restaurants. So I don't think I'm going to spend $300 on restaurants, but it is the holiday season and I want to feel empowered to enjoy and celebrate. So I'm going to leave that there and I might make adjustments to it when I come home. in like 2 weeks. Clothes and beauty. So beauty, I'm not buying anything. Clothes, I'm going to put $100 in here because I might buy something. I might buy something. Okay, let's be real. Self-maintenance, this month I actually am getting a haircut. So I'm going to plus this up because I will be getting my pedicure. I will be getting a haircut in color. And I have my hairdresser do my eyebrows. So $250, honestly, I'm going to put $350 because I never know how much it costs. Ubers, I also need to plus this up. I'll put in 100. I'm going to do 120 because I have to Uber on Monday home from the airport, and I'll have to Uber again back to the airport when I go home again. Workout, I don't know why I have this in here as 90. I did that last month too. Travel trips, I don't have anything booked for December besides coming home, which I've already booked, and travel home. I already booked those flights, so we are good to go. Gifts, I do need to buy gifts for Christmas, but I have that money in my sinking fund. And then activities and miscellaneous. I would imagine in the month of December, I'm going to be doing some holiday activities. I don't know if they cost money though. Like I think a lot of them are going to see lights and Christmas markets and whatnot. So we'll see. But I'm going to keep that where it's at. And let's hope that I stick to this plan or maybe even stay under it. Because if I stay under it, then I'm going to be closer to my actual total that I want for the end of the year. So anyways, that's my monthly money review. We are all set for going into December. I'm very excited about my finances this year. I feel like this was the year that I spent my money the most intentionally, and I'm really excited going into 2026 to really hone that because I feel like it's a skill. It's a skill that I've learned through these consistent reviews, consistent self-reflection, and I'm excited to see how my spending shifts in 2026. So with that, I'm going to wrap this up. Remember, if you want to come to my 2026 intensive, the information to join is in the description. And if you're looking for a tool, obviously I recommend the personal finance dashboard or the basic budgeting template. Those are also always linked in the description. And with that, I will see you in the next video. Thanks so much for watching.